killed you in the cruelest way imaginable.
If I can reminisce for a second, almost 4 years ago I reviewed Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba The Hinokami Chronicles for IGN. It was my first IGN review and I've done 25 more since then. Now I'm back for its sequel. Time flies, and a lot has changed in the last 4 years, including within this series. The Hinokami Chronicles 2 is a bigger, better version of its predecessor that adds new ways to play while maintaining what worked and tweaking what didn't, even if it's not exactly out here discovering new forms of demon slaying.
Excellent!
If you're unfamiliar with Demon Slayer, it follows Tanjiro and Nezuko Kamado, who are out for vengeance after demons murder their family and transform Nezuko into a demon herself. The original Hinokami Chronicles went through the end of the Mugen Train arc, and the Hinokami Chronicles 2 picks up from there. For the most part, this sequel kind of expects you to have familiarity with what's going on, but if you don't, you can at least hop into the Path of the Demon Slayer mode, which allows you to replay a truncated version of the original story comprised of just 6 one-on-one fights. It was a useful refresher, but none of the big flashy fights against the massive bosses from the original game are here, and even some of the smaller fights are missing. Worse, the ones that are here are based on the playable versus mode versions of the bosses you fought, which means they're essentially just glorified versus CPU matches. I'm grateful that Path of the Demon Slayer is here at all, but it feels like there should have been more to it. Thankfully, the real meat is in the main story mode, which allows you to play through the Entertainment District, Swordsmith Village, and Hashira Training arcs. The story compelled me less than last time, though I remained interested even if it is a little goofy. Characters yell a lot, especially the usually cowardly but brave when it counts Zenitsu.
I'm gonna make that jerk pay for this!
But it's generally pretty funny in context, and Tanjiro is a goody-goodie's goody-goody. But at least his heart is in the right place.
She's my elder sister!
This is a CyberConnect 2 joint, so everything is absolutely beautifully animated, and just about every sequence looks remarkable. There are a lot of cutscenes in the story mode, so maybe make some popcorn, but things are generally well presented.
What is that? Is it a demon?
Between cutscenes, you'll walk around and explore the world, talk to other characters, find items, and hunt down demons or clues to their whereabouts using Tanjiro's incredible nose, Zenitsu's super hearing, and Inosuke's spatial awareness, and so on. All of these essentially boil down to the Demon Slayer version of Detective Vision. Turn it on, follow the path, profit. As you explore, you'll also be able to collect memory fragments, which are short movies that combine voiceovers and stills from the anime series, and Kimetsu points, which can be used to unlock rewards like characters, system voices, alternate costumes, quotes, stamps, various art and decorations, and songs from the soundtrack, a lot of which you'll also find scattered around the environments. I'm particularly fond of finding some memento that causes characters to pause, remember times past. It makes the world feel more lived in, and is a good reminder of how we got here. I complained about the walking around in my review of the original game, but I'm feeling a little bit more here for 3 reasons. First, the areas are smaller and more big area where you run around and find stuff rather than travel this exceptionally linear path. Secondly, you can run this time around, at least when you're outside. Thirdly, there's side quests now, which break up things nicely, whether that means helping a shy servant confess his love to one of the women he serves, or joining forces with a Hashira to take down a demon.
Excuse me.
These are fun, and they add variety. Plus, you usually get one of the aforementioned rewards. There's even some amusing minigames, like Demon Slayer's version of Guitar Hero, too. When you're not walking around, you'll be throwing down with one demon or another. Like the first game, the fights are pretty sick, whether you're fighting another member of the cast or engaging in one of the more elaborate fights against characters you'd never see in a versus match. Even the ones that you'll fight multiple times are compelling because you'll use different characters each time, or fight under unique conditions, like having one of your characters be poisoned, or using an alternate version than you're used to. The boss fights are flashy and engaging throughout the Hinokami Chronicles 2, and easily the highlight of the story mode.
You abominable, insignificant wretch!
When it comes to the actual battle system, this sequel doesn't make a ton of changes. Attacks are on one button and specials another. You can vary things up by pushing the stick in a direction while pressing one of the buttons to either perform different specials or one of 3 unique combos, one that launches, one that keeps foes on the ground, and one that knocks them down. Each fighter can also throw, dash, perform an ultimate art, use heavy attacks, and activate 2 special power-ups, Boost and Surge. Boost powers up your attacks and has an extra combo route, while Surge gives your character unlimited meter for a short time.
everyone, no matter what!
The controls are simple, but there's a lot of depth to this combat if you're into that, and I enjoyed learning how to build combos with each character, figuring out advanced techniques, and identifying the best way to parry certain characters. I'll also sing the praises of a few of the changes CyberConnect 2 has implemented. First, heavy attacks are no longer bound to forward plus the attack button. Instead, you'll hold guard and press attack, which cuts down on accidental whiffs. Secondly, while the combo gauge is still here, I haven't noticed characters falling out of combos if you run out of gauge during multi-hit attacks like in the original game. These are both very, very good changes. While you'll sometimes fight solo in story mode, the Hinokami Chronicles 2 is meant to be a tag game. In 2-on-2 battles, you can call in your tag partner for an assist that utilizes one of their special moves for half your assist gauge, or spend all of it and have them save you from a mid-combo beatdown. You can also fully swap between your characters provided you have the gauge for it, and since health is shared between them, you'll never have to fly solo, even when things are looking bad for the home team. In a new twist, some characters are so strong they don't get assists at all, while others come as a pre-built tag team. Certain teams even have unique dual ultimate arts, which incentivizes you to pair characters who already have a bond in the lore.
Let's finish this, Makomo! Water breathing. Fourth form. Striking time!
As before, the real strength of this system is movement and positioning. Finding the sweet spot between being far enough away from an attack to dodge it and close enough to punishment when you do is as compelling as landing that huge combo, especially when you cash out with a particularly flashy ultimate art.
Third form.
The best story mode bosses force you to learn their patterns, pick your spots, and execute when you find your moment. Last time I complained that bosses could knock you back at will, even when you're laying the smacketh down, and that their boost modes are so powerful that you'll spend a lot of time playing defense once they activate them. Both are still true, and while they can be annoying, it doesn't feel quite as bad this time. And when you finish that fight and transition into a flashy quick-time event called the Final Clash to cap off the brawl, still cinema. Once you're done with story mode, you still have some options for solo play. The most interesting one is probably Hashira Training, a roguelike where you guide your team down a board, choosing fights with unique win conditions, switch a character, win with X amount of health remaining, and so on, or rewards and healing items. Your health won't regenerate between fights unless you head to a square that offers it, but you'll get boosts that can buff you before your next fight. Your goal? Make it to the Hashira you're training with and take them down. It's a simple mode, but an engaging one, and just like story mode, it's a good way to earn new goodies for the archive, and up your character mastery, which also earns you new stuff for the archive. There's a ton of stuff to unlock here, so if that's your bag, the Hinokami Chronicles 2 has the juice to keep you here for the long haul. If there's one thing that I don't like about the story mode and Hashira Training, it's the addition of gear. Why does everything need to be an RPG? I'll never know, but here we are. You can equip up to 3 pieces of gear in 3 slots. Each has its own slot requirement and does different things, like boost your attack or recover your health if certain conditions are met in combat. It's fine, I guess. I just don't see the point and wish it wasn't here, because it's just another menu I have to mess with when I want to be fighting in my fighting game. Thankfully, you can turn gear off in versus mode, though it's there if you want it. As expected, there is online and local versus, as well as a practice mode to help you get to grips with how every character works, and an endurance mode for testing your skills against enemy after relentless entering. The original Hinokami Chronicles was hamstrung by its relatively small roster, only 18 characters at launch. The Hinokami Chronicles 2 has more than 40, greatly upping the multiplayer value and offering far more variety. My only real complaint regarding modes is the lack of a decent tutorial. Yeah, there's text-based tips and tricks, but what's here in the story mode is sparse, and doesn't hit on the more advanced stuff. Good teaching tools are a must in a fighting game, even an arena fighter, and the Hinokami Chronicles 2 doesn't really have any. It's a shame.
Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderclap and flash. 6 form.
Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba The Hinokami Chronicles 2 is a good arena fighter, and a noted improvement over its predecessor, but it's not a sea change. I'm not over the moon about the inclusion of gear, I yearn for better teaching tools, and I wish there was more to the path of the Demon Slayer. But the story mode is compelling, the fighting still has the juice, and I'm a big fan of the expanded roster, smart if subtle gameplay changes, and the roguelike Hashira Training mode. The Hinokami Chronicles 2 is a worthy sequel to a good game, and a good game itself. I just hope we don't have to wait another 4 years for a sequel. For more, check out my review of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, or our review of Killing Floor 3, and for everything else, stick with IGN.